Hey guys, how you doing? Welcome back to the REI Network podcast. Today I have a awesome guest. He's a good friend of mine. We actually co-host a podcast together as well, which we're going to talk about. So let me bring him over. Here he is, Mr. Don Costa. Don, how are you?
What's up? I'm good. How are you, buddy?
Yeah, good. I appreciate you doing this. You know, I know we talk. We do a show together every single week, live. Every Wednesday at 12 Eastern, 11
Pacific.
Central, and 9 Pacific. There we go. Mm-hmm. And it is Coffee with Closers live. It's me, you, and David Dodge. We've been doing it now for, I don't know, maybe 15 weeks consistently. Is that right?
We got quite a few on our belt, somewhere between 12 and 15, I would say. Yeah, I kind of lost count, but it's amazing how consistent we've been with it. So we weren't sure when we started it if it was going to be something we were going to keep on doing, and I think we like doing it. So get to answer questions and interact with the audience, and now it's a podcast, so I enjoy it.
Yeah, absolutely. Me too. So guys, if you're listening to us, if you're watching us on YouTube, make sure you give us a like and subscribe. But every Wednesday we go live on my YouTube channel, same as Don's and David's. And also we have a Facebook group, Coffee with Closers Live, and then also a new podcast that is just launched. So make sure you go and plug in and check that out. And it's a lot of fun. It's all live. We bring guests on. We do a lot of content, answer a lot of questions live, and it is absolutely great. And we get to hang out. So, but Don, before we jump in, let's talk about Don Costa. I mean, you are a beast in our industry. I've known you for a while now. We're in Masterminds together. But I want to take people back to you getting started, a bit of experience, because you are, I'd say, a veteran compared to me, at least. You're a veteran, right?
Yeah, I'm old. I've been around.
I didn't want
to
say it, but
yeah, I mean, started in 2003, so we're talking about 18 years in this business, with a little hiatus of losing everything in the middle, but 18 years in this business, and and I can still remember. Being scared of all the things that everybody is scared of, not having enough money, not knowing what to do, not knowing whether or not it's a deal. I remember going out house hunting, looking for deals, trying to identify something that was an opportunity, and not having the confidence to really explain it to the people around me, I think, and pull the trigger. And 2003 is when I actually put my feet to the fire and got going.
Yeah, no, that's great. And then obviously you were successful. You were kind of on cloud nine. Everything was going well. And you just kind of mentioned it, that everything then went south and you lost everything. What happened? Why did that happen? And what were the big changes when you got back into the business and kind of started again? What did you do differently?
So basically, I started believing my own bull. For the most part, I believed my own story, and that's part of the issue for losing everything. And I think as entrepreneurs, a lot of us go through that. There are a lot of people right now that are having tremendous success in this market, and they're not realizing that success overall it's market driven. For the most part. And unless you are being smart about your business and running a real business, the market's going to guide your ability to succeed or fail in this industry. So not understanding that aspect of it, being a bottleneck in my organization, not being a good leader, not running a real company, all those things came to a head when 2008 hit. Had I been a good leader and ran a real company and pivoted properly, I probably wouldn't have lost everything. But what happened was I was so full of my own garbage, and so intent on doing things my way and not listening to any advice from anybody, that when the market turned, ultimately at the end of the day, it was like a ship full of holes, or like a rock that pulled me under. And my mindset, went from this strength mindset, this full of myself mindset, to grasping at straws. And I remember sitting on my shower floor crying, not really crying, but almost crying one morning in the shower, realizing that I couldn't make payroll, that I couldn't pay rent, that I was out of money essentially. And there's something about going into survival mode where you just focus on the little pebbles in front of you instead of the big obstacles you need to be focused on as a business owner. And I started focusing on the pebbles, and it was just a downward spiral from there. It wasn't until essentially hitting rock bottom, not being able to pay my mortgage or my light bill, not even be able to buy my family Taco Bell. I went to Taco Bell one time, my credit card wouldn't clear. It wasn't until I hit rock bottom like that I finally pulled my head out of my rear end and realized that the only thing I was good at was real estate investing. And if I was going to really be successful the way I wanted to be, I had to get back in the game. And that took me almost 4 years to do, by the way, to pull my head out of my butt. It was a very hard pull, and it took a while. So, I got back in the game in 2012. I met with an investor who I talked into backing me on a deal, and we bought a house from an agent off the MLS in 2012, in June 2012. And I renovated and resold it, and I made 20 grand. I had to split it with the guy, and I was back in the business. So, nice. Yeah. Changes, you hit changes in the question. Some of the changes that I made, just being grounded, being real, understanding as an entrepreneur that this is a journey of education. Every next step we don't have any experience in, right? There's no college degree. There's nothing that can teach us that. So every next step is a slice of humility, an opportunity to grow, something to learn, and the possibility of failure. And so realizing that I had to be around a good circle of people. That's one of the reasons why you're in my circle, because you got to surround yourself with smart people and mastermind with these people on a regular basis. You got to have a good team around you, and you got to trust your team and not be a bottleneck, be a good leader and get out of their way. All those lessons I learned. When the money's really, really good, it's not because I'm a genius, and it's because opportunity met preparation, and I just happened to get it right. Or, for instance, right now the market's on fire, and being level-headed about that, I think, is important. So, a few takeaways, I guess, from losing everything.
Absolutely, and we're gonna touch on some of these points that you just made. What was, before I do, when you were being crazy, I'd say crazy, how many flips was you doing at once when you were like top flight, like going at it?
You mean this time around or last time around? This time around?
Last time around. Like,
so we were doing really, really good last time around. I had a real estate company, a property management company, a mortgage company, all were doing well. And I was flipping houses. And back then, I would say, 10, 15 a month was a good month for me. I wasn't like just balling crazy as a rehabber. I had multiple things going on, but rehabbing was my core profit center.
Yeah. But then even then you've got it higher than that in the recent times, right?
I've gotten it higher than that, but here's the thing. Back then it wasn't ran like a real business. It was thrown against the wall. We'd buy a house, we'd have a loosey-goosey budget, we'd do a handshake deal with the contractor, they'd come in and basically throw paint on everything. And we'd sell it, and it always took 2 to 3 times longer than it was supposed to and cost me more. And I didn't care because the market hid all those mistakes of running a bad business. So it was easy to be a rock star. It's like, again, right now, you go in without a plan on a rehab, you're probably going to make more money than expected. And that was the way it was then. I was buying houses subject to, so I wasn't using any of my own money. I was leveraging investor capital to do the rehabs. And then I didn't have a property manager. I almost never checked on the rehabs. It was just basically, it's going to take longer and cost more. Okay, well, now I'm going to make $10,000 more than expected, $15,000, $20,000 more than expected. So it was different. This time around, we have systems and processes, accountability. We pay our contractors a certain way. They have to finish at a certain time. We need to be on budget. We're accounting for everything. Project managers are checking the properties on a regular basis. It's just different. It's a different animal, a different beast. And we're accountable to the outcome this time around.
Yeah. No, that's great. That's really, really good. And I think that's, it's important. I think failures, I think it's good. And I have a positive on it, because I think that's the only way you grow and learn, right? I think your experience, you were humbled, right? You were humbled a lot. I didn't know you before then, but from what you've said in the past, I think you were humbled, and I think you probably agree that maybe your personality is different now to what it used to be because of the things that you've gone through. And I think that's good to be able to guide others, right? In what we do as educators, you're like me. you have, programs and people that we're going to talk about here that kind of follow you and look up to you, but you're just using your experience to say, don't do what I did, right? And that's what cutting the learning curve is about. To be able to do that. And I still ask you,
right.
like you do a lot more direct mail. We've had conversations, I do a lot of cold calling and things like that. And when it comes to direct mail, I don't do a lot of it. So I, go to my core group of people, and we're going to get on to the importance of masterminds, but being able to come to you and say, because you do that, like, what do you think? This is what I'm thinking. And you're going, I wouldn't do that because of this. And this is what my experience is. And then I'm able to, pick up on that and then adjust accordingly for my market. So I think that's really important. So having them core people around is really important. You're probably one of the best networkers. I called this my company REI Network because that's what it is, right? Everything's about networking, and you are probably one of the best in the business in terms of, we're in a couple of masterminds together, and you're in more than me, and I'm in your mastermind, which is incredible. And the next one is coming up here in November as we record this in Nashville. So that's going to be a fun time. But talk to me, Don, a little bit about that. Let's jump in. Obviously, you're a master rehabber. You do things virtual. You can wholesale. You've done sub-twos. You've done it all. And now I feel like you've got a new purpose, right? Over the last year or two that you've set up a mastermind. And just explain to our viewers kind of what is a mastermind and what does it take? What does it look like? What does it do? Let's talk about that.
So a mastermind done the right way is a community. It's having the right people around you that are fighting the same battle you are, going the same direction you are. The best way to describe it is, you're alone in your business. They always say that, crap rolls uphill in business, right? You don't go complaining to your employees. You handle all the issues, all the problems. You're making the decisions. The responsibility of your team is on you. Marketing, whether or not you're profiting, carrying your family. You can't always go home to your spouse and have a conversation with your spouse about your struggles. They don't understand it, and sometimes we don't want to put the weight of it on them. As entrepreneurs, we're built differently than most people around us. So it's an opportunity to get in a room of like-minded people going the same direction, working on the same things, having the same challenges, having a community that understands you and your thought process, what you're going through. They may have tried something that you're thinking about trying, and then they'll be able to share the results. You may be able to test something together, on opposite sides of the country, and so on and so forth. You may be able to save somebody yourself from making a bad decision. So it's a community, and it's really about, not just taking, but giving to it as well. And the idea behind it is to make sure that you have your board of advisors, your people that are your trusted confidants that you can go to it for advice. Like you called me up about some direct mail questions, and I gave you my experience. What you do for your business is your decision, but you had a sounding board for, well, this is what I've learned. This is what I've done. I've sent out almost 2 million postcards over a 2-year period. I don't know many people who've done that in a 2-year period. So, I'm able to give you solid information. So that's what's about, is making sure that you're in the right room with the right people. And the other thing too, when it talks about like the education space and then real world experience, like how I would have been as an educator in 2004 and how I am as an educator now, I'm two different people. In 2004, I had this optimistic naivety that anything was possible, nothing could go wrong, and I would have, been, it's hard to explain, but this high energy, high hyped, over promise individual, right? And now I'm straightforward. Like, you step here, success. You step there, you get your leg in a bear trap, right? I'm the guy that's gonna tell you that's going to cause a lawsuit. Sounds great, people are teaching it, but that's going to cause a lawsuit. Ask me how I know. So because I've been in them. So and so those are the people you want to be in the room with in a mastermind, is real business people that have real world experience. Are going to be able to collaborate with you on that experience.
Yeah, no, that's great. And the good thing is as well with masterminds is that you have to apply, you have to be the right person, the right fit. It's not about the money. And I think that's where people miss. And I think there's probably some masterminds out there that is in it for the money. But you know, I know what yours like. I know what your personality is like, and you're very much, are you going to fit in to this group? And I know as well that you have got no problem with, if someone does come in and they don't fit, telling them they have to go in a nice way, right? So I think that's important. So if someone's listening right now and they want to go to the next level, right, and they want to be, you know, it's probably hitting home. If they're doing business, you're exactly right. You know, I keep my business completely separate, you know, to my wife. I make an odd comment. She'll know if I'm not having a good day, and if I am, you know, because it's probably on my face and in my personality, what's coming across. But for the most part, we don't talk about it. And you're exactly right. I just think, why stress everybody else out if I'm stressed, right?
Right. And it's not, I don't want to cut you off, but it's not that your wife's a bad person. I met your wife. She's an incredible person. You guys, you know, are obviously, you know, great people together. She's in a completely different field.
Yeah.
Her career is a completely different field, you know, than yours. And I'm sure she doesn't want, as well, she wants to understand you and cares about what you do. I don't think she wants to learn your business.
No.
Yeah.
You're exactly right.
So, yeah.
Yeah, and it's good when we do a mastermind in Tulum.
Yeah,
you know, it's obviously when the wives come out and you know, they do their thing and we're left to do ours. And yeah, for that exact reason, because we're not on the way that we look at things would be different. You know, that you know, if we did have a conversation, you know, she might have it from being a nurse and she'd probably have a different perspective, not as an entrepreneur, right? And it would come
from the heart. She would care. The advice she would give you would matter to, you know, from her perspective, but it may not be the right advice for your business because her experience is different. And that's really the important part about being in the right room with the right people.
Yeah, no, I love that. So what is it? What's the mastermind? Obviously I know what it's called, but what is it called? And how do people, if they're watching this going, you know what, I want to go to the next level. I want to get into a group of people, you know, and be around like-minded people. How do they go about it? How do they inquire to see if they'll be even a good fit?
So it's called the Inner Circle Elite, and the best way to find out more information is go to beinThisRoom.com, because that's the room you want to be in. Easy to remember, beinThisRoom.com. And there's an application process. Fill out the application, schedule a strategy call, and we'll have a conversation with you. We'll make sure we're a fit for you and you're a fit for us, and then we'll take the next steps. So ultimately, at the end of the day, if we can't serve you, we want you to know that. And if you're not going to be able to collaborate with the community, then we want to know that. And so if you're a good person, if you're a giver and you're ready to consume and take advice from people and really, you know, just, I guess, be a decent human being, then you're probably going to fit if you're striving to build your business and make it better and you're doing things already. So, but beinThisRoom.com is where you go.
beinThisRoom.com. Love it. Okay, awesome. And in your meeting, the meetings you're doing 3 or 4 times a year in person, and
4 times a year.
Yeah, which helps with accountability and taking action and holding, you know, people to the fire as well. So
yeah. We have virtual meetings every month. We don't have a physical meeting. We have the physical meetings 4 times a year at different spots around the country. We have a Facebook community. We got a member portal, you know, with access to different training videos, different things like that. I got a lot of things planned. One of the things I want to do, and I'll just mention it here, it's something that's in the works, is, you know, we're building out like training segments, generic training segments for your team that you can just put your team in front of when you hire the certain positions and augment with your training. And we're collaborating with different members to build that out. We're trying to do a lot of done for you opportunities with collaboration with some incredible people in the group, so that as members are growing their business, they don't have to reinvent the wheel and bang their head against the wall. So there's a lot of things going on behind the scenes. My job is to under promise and over deliver, and that's something that we'll be working really, really hard to do.
Awesome. Love that. So check that out, guys. Okay, so moving on then. Let's talk about what advice would you give to somebody starting in this crazy market? We talked about this market, and what I was feeling is that this market is hot right now, and I think it can make people look good. And I think that's kind of what you were kind of getting at, right? Is that we can take a rehab and anyone can make money right now because things are getting bid. It has softened a little bit, in my opinion, across multiple states. It's not as crazy as it was, let's say, 2 months ago, but it is still crazy. So what do people need to watch for? And you've been through the crash, right? I haven't. Very open about that. I do believe the way that I invest, the way that I run my business, that I am somewhat recession proof, and the way that I do things. But again, that's my opinion. But from what you see, what should people be aware of in this market if they are starting to invest?
Well, first of all, I want to say that I think the market is softening a little bit right now because people are going back to school for real. And that does take a little bit of demand out of the market. Every year around the end of July, beginning of August, the market does kind of soften a little bit. So that doesn't mean the market overall is going to come off what it's been doing, but it's something to watch. 2000. I started in 2003, 4, and 5, which was the uptick of the last market. I was still able to get good deals, great deals. I worked pre-foreclosures and tax liens. So people that want to get started now, there's a lot of opportunities. There's still people that don't want to list their home that you're a solution for. So if you're just getting started, don't feel like it's a hot market and there's no deals. I started in a hot market and did very, very, very well. So I want to plug that in there. The other thing is a difference between investing and speculating. And the biggest mistake that most people made in 2003, 4, and 5 is they started speculating. You're betting the market. You're playing it like it's the stock market. And you can't do that. Markets have cycles, period, in real estate. And you got to always prepare for the worst and hope for the best. And what I mean by that is just run a good business. It doesn't mean, the sky is falling every day. It just run a good business. If it doesn't make sense business-wise in a normal market, then it's probably not going to make sense now. So don't bet that, like, for instance, we got a property, we locked it up 8 months ago. We were just talking about this morning. It was a situation where there was some things to work out on title, and the owner needed to identify a place to live and all kinds of stuff. It was a long, drawn out escrow. 8 months ago, we had an offer as a wholesale for $8,000. Okay. In 8 months, the comp has changed so much that we're saying that somewhere in close to $30,000. That is not because I'm a genius, but in 2003, 4, and 5, I would have thought I was. That is simply because the market conditions are fluctuating and changing. Had I locked that property up thinking, I'm going to hold this thing in escrow for 8 months so I can lock it up for $30,000 more, especially if you're rehabbing. Now, wholesaling, not so bad, but if you're rehabbing, that's a recipe for getting caught with your pants down at some point, and nobody wants to get caught with their pants down. So just be smart. Don't believe the hype. Don't drink the Kool-Aid. People are out there promising all kinds of crazy stuff. There's some crazy guru stuff going on right now. This is about running a real business. This is about building a real future, and this is about building legacy. And as long as you keep that in mind every day you come in to do what you're going to do, you're going to be fine.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think there's a lot of influencers out there, right? Gurus or influencers, and that's what they're good at, is influencing, building a following. And it's not always good information. So I think everyone should, and if someone approaches me and they want to work with me and they don't know anything about me, the first thing I say is go and research me, go and watch podcasts, go and check me out on YouTube, go and get familiar with the way that I teach, the way I speak, the way I do things, and then make sure we're a good fit, right? And that's what I always say, because you should not be investing in someone that you know nothing about.
Right.
Personal opinion. So yeah, I agree 100% with that. I think that's good advice. So let's talk real quick about, we mentioned it before, but coffee with closers. Again, just want to touch on base for people. Me, Don, and David Dodge are doing coffee with closers every Wednesday live. We have not missed a Wednesday since we've started this. We're on week somewhere between 12 and 15. We should know, but we don't. And yeah, we have guests come on. It's live on my YouTube or Don's YouTube, and it is also, we have a private Facebook group, Coffee with Closers Live, and now we have its own podcast where they're actually being released as a podcast. So make sure you go like and subscribe and check them out, because I think they're really good. We have a good time, we have a laugh, but we also answer questions. It's real, and just no BS, is there?
No, there's not. And the cool thing about it is we come from different perspectives and different opinions. Like, you'll have a take on something that might take maybe different. We give Dave a bad time because he wants 100 rental doors. And to you and I, it's like drinking bleach, right? The idea of having 100 doors. So we come from different perspectives, and there are some things we completely agree on, and there's some things that you'll get different takes on. And I think that's what's cool, about it. And we're all good friends. We've all hung out together outside of, events and different things like that. And so it's genuine conversation, and we care about the questions that are being asked. We care about the people who are listening and making sure that the information is sound. So you left out coffeewithclosers.com. There's some giveaways there. I don't want to necessarily throw one more thing for people to go do, but you can also sign up to get notified about the lives there as well.
Yeah.
And that's an opportunity for you to get in touch. The cool thing about it is it's a live show, and you can ask questions. We're answering questions. And that's the important thing to understand is if you want to get your questions answered, you want to have different perspectives, that's where you go. And Gavin does more of a lifestyle business. I have an office, and I run, more of a larger scale business. Dave does a lot of the BRRRR method. So it's different. We can answer just about any question you have.
Yeah, no, and it's good because we don't always agree, and that's when it gets funny.
Yeah.
And we have a good time, and normally it is with Dave.
Right.
But yeah, it's good, and the reason, guys, if you're listening, that I'm bringing this up, we have nothing to sell there, and it is live, and we're just trying to outreach as many people as possible. We'd love to get hundreds and hundreds of people watching us live and interacting, because it's a lot of fun, and it all started with us just really getting together once a week to catch up, and then that evolved to, hey, we should make this a show and let people watch us. And then we started bringing guests on, and even we're thinking of potentially taking live calls at some points and getting people to actually come on live. So there's a lot of cool things in the works that we're working on, so make sure you check that out. Don, just before we get done here, I appreciate your time. I know you are a busy man doing deals and running around. What would one thing that you tell someone, again, just to finish on, if someone was looking, never done anything, and wanted to start getting involved in real estate investing, what would you tell them?
There's so much. The first thing I would do is I would sit down and take an accounting of like, what are your skill sets and what are your not? And I'll try to make this quick, but do you need to burn the ships, or do you need security? Okay. Answer that for yourself. I'm a burn the ships guy. Okay. And if you give me security, I'm never going to take action. So determine that, because that'll determine whether or not you're going to be able to take action and be successful. The second thing is, okay, well, am I accountable to myself or not? If you're somebody that can be accountable to yourself to take action, then there's podcasts. Gavin has a great podcast. I have a podcast called Flip Talk. There's amazing podcasts out there, YouTube channels. There's so much information out there. Be careful where you get it from, but there's so much information out there. And even some of the sources that are probably questionable, there's still nuggets in there that you can get, and take action on it. If you're somebody that doesn't, find a coach or mentor that you align with, and go ahead and do that. Yes, they cost money. Why? Because it's our time away from our family. It's our time invested, and we want to make sure that you are invested in yourself. So it costs money, but find a mentor that you align with and pay the money. People say, well, that costs money, but the reality is, how much is it going to cost you to make mistakes and trial and error, and how much longer is it going to take you to get there by yourself? Where we can take a lot of that and just and take what would probably take you a year and make it 2 or 3 months. And so we fast track you, and there's a reason for that. And so find out how you learn. And I was a self-starter for a long time, but there was a point in my business where I had to start getting mentorships and be part of communities. So some people, they need the mentorship up front, and then maybe they can take it on their own down the road. So sit down and take a self-accounting. And then take action, take massive and perfect action, because there is no such thing as perfect. It's never going to be perfect. I fail every single day, and every single day I am happy to do it.
Yeah, and that's the only way we learn. I love that. Well, I appreciate it. I think that's perfect advice. Again, couldn't agree more. And that's what people need to do. I said it earlier, is that you need to research who you're working with. And, if you're interested, reach out. And also on the mastermind front, you're always growing. You go from doing deals to doing multiple deals. And then it's time to elevate. Okay. And there's more things than just doing more deals. Again, Don touched on it. He has a much bigger business. He has an office. He has a lot of, acquisition. He has a bigger, budget for marketing and all them things. That just doesn't align with me personally. I like the lifestyle more. I like to travel. I like to work from all over the place. That's what works for me. So everyone's different. And, I think aligning and then elevating into their masterminds. Again, check out Don's mastermind. beinThisRoom.com. Check that out and come and join like-minded people. And that is where you're then going to take it to new levels. And it's a place as well, I'm going to finish here, where people get real. You actually leave the BS at the door, and I would never say anything what goes on in these masterminds in any of the ones, but you will see the things that you just did not realize happens to people that are influencers, that are out there, that you think have got perfect lives and that nothing can go wrong. And then when you actually dig deep and get them vulnerable, you go, okay, they're just human, they're just normal. And it gives you a different perspective for me on business completely. So that's why I like it. And Don, on that note, I appreciate you, bud. Thank you so much for joining us. And guys, if you're interested, like I said, working with me, reach out, support at REINetwork.com or go to REINetwork.com/join.